So, about today, let's actually discuss things that are of importance. So, we can eat all this food, hang out with all the kind of people that we think are exactly like us, and that's a great way to evolve. And to develop yourself and find maybe a part of yourself, or it's not very wide-minded to be like that. I found myself one time when I was with a friend in nature that was also a raw foodist and a little bit more kind of edgy like me. Or I should say out of the raw food community, because it is something I was trying to think about that is important when you become a raw foodist for a long time, and I think there's some kind of an empowerment. This is an aspect that you get from it, some kind of an empowerment that comes from being very disciplined and being outside of what everybody else is doing. It's not so much that that's right or wrong, but actually making this really distinct choice of like where you're totally different from everybody else. I think that's an energy that's inside Gemini, but that's important. That's what you get out of that. So that's why I think a lot of people, even though they're not 100% doing it, feel united under that sort of heading. And it's only the evolution of coming out of that thinking that you, of it just being a path, because that's the problem, is everybody's sort of looking for the sort of magic bullet or the silver bullet, which is just the one thing. And that's, I think, one of the most important things about us is just you can't stop. That's where you sort of stagnate. You always got to keep your wheels turning of just adventuring and learning more. And that's what this is all about. Is I've been all over the place with the diet, but the big thing in 2012 that's been empowering me is the working on the unknown. And I think the top of that list is just things like love and happiness. And so for me, I had to go back to doing all of this to like really find out what happiness is, because that's what it's all about for me. And just this was always my main interest, and somehow from liking mysticism and interesting music in the 70s, and a lot of that was associated with health food, somehow I got into the health food thing early on, and it has a lot to do with this. Especially the band Yes, and the album Tales from Topographic Oceans by them. The band was very interesting at that time of being into mystical things and vegetarianism, and that had a big effect on me because I was like 12 or 13 when that record came out. And so that's definitely a fork in the road where I sort of became something else. So this is the same bit of music that I'm working on. I'm trying to interpret a feeling I have about connecting with somebody on a physical level, but also doing it on other levels. And I always start out with the title of a track. This is Telepathic Kiss is going to be the name of this. And so I'm trying to do something very rhythmical but very emotional at the same time. So some people kind of were immediately glad that I was back on. Let me remember the top comments. There was somebody that asked me about more gluten raw recipes. Well, if you're being totally raw, gluten really shouldn't come into play because it's mostly gluten-free. Am I mistaken here? I mean, there's starchy things you can eat raw, but they're not gluten. So if you're eating all raw, you're eating gluten-free, unless you're looking for the part of you that's not raw. And I'm totally cool about that. And I've experimented with both sides of that, and that's where a lot of people are just messed up with not understanding the uniqueness. I know I'm really unique, so the thing I find is that raw works for me in most ways, and I just do little enhancements here and there, and I'm kind of into making these really dense, small meals, calorie restriction, eating more dense food, more fat-based, less starchy, simple sugar, you know, whatever, low carbohydrate, paleo as it's called, I don't know. The whole naming things, but I guess that's kind of where I'm at, but paleo raw. So, about gluten-free, if you're like looking to augment that, an interesting thing I've been always into is culinary. If you look at my subscriptions, you'll see that I have a lot of subscriptions to things where you agree, oh, why is he into that? And it's because I'm into like studying a lot of the cultures and how they eat and stuff like that. And so I've been around somebody Japanese, and an interesting thing is this savory pancake that the Japanese do. It's called okinomoyaki, and it's basically a sort of a cross between a pancake and a pizza. So I'll leave a link to that on there, and all you got to do is replace almond flour in there and do some interesting thing with either making it, you know, completely vegan, or making it vegetarian by putting egg, or omnivore by putting bits of fish or whatever. It's a very interesting concept because you could bake up that and have it as a condiment in your salad and be sort of like, you know, a big salad with pieces of okinomoyaki in there. And it winds up just being this very sort of eclectic savory pancake. So, ayahuasca, that's what somebody was like talking about. I've done psychedelics. I can't see that I'm going to do them anymore because they don't seem real necessary to me. From working with this psychic, I found out that I'm actually a really old soul. Really, really old soul. And she said that she has not seen too many people as old as me. And a lot of people that are old souls, they kind of like patting themselves on the back, like, I'm an old soul. That's not necessarily a good thing, because that makes you kind of complex and sort of difficult and knotted. My psychic definitely said to me that I just like being here. And I don't have a problem with that, because I sort of live in a small space in the San Bernardino Mountains. I don't too much go out of California. And honestly, I feel pretty comfortable, and I feel like I can make this space that I live in like any place in the universe. Especially with doing music, and this is kind of my whole thing. It's snowing outside right now, so just living healthy, hiking, living in harmony with nature, you know, and getting out to be able to do this music. You have to forgive me if I'm distracted, because I'm trying to do a little bit of everything about what I do, because I don't consider myself such a teacher anymore. So, I'll give you a little musical interlude because I forgot what I was talking about. about being an old soul. And psychedelics, ayahuasca. No, I don't need that. I'm definitely, I see use for marijuana just because there's something about being away from, I don't know, it just gives you another perspective. But if you're going to do marijuana, you've got to go with long periods of not doing it. So, that's why I can't do ayahuasca, is because I've done it, all that stuff. I've done lots of it in my past lives already. It's really no need for it. I've talked to people who've seen it as a very cathartic thing. I didn't get that out of it. It's just kind of a fun time. Today I triggered the gallbladder cleanse. The whole giving myself diarrhea and drinking the lemon and olive oil. And I'm going to keep doing that. Because the one book, I should look that book up. It says you should keep doing them. Keep doing them until you don't get the green stuff coming out anymore. Anyways, later on.